Hello everyone. I am Percy Ballard, MD, from Psych Garden and Father's Uplift in the greater Boston area. Just recording a bit of an impromptu video today. I've been having some great talks with some of my clients on productivity. People are wondering how they can be the most productive they can be, especially in the setting of the pandemic that's going on right now, although this applies to all times of your life. People do want to produce. They have a natural inclination to do something with their life and something with their time. Otherwise, people can find themselves uninspired, can find themselves pretty much distracting with whatever they can, as opposed to doing something that they truly believe in and truly feel great about. So that was a little bit of the topic of last video, just a little bit of inspiration to say, hey, we can use this opportunity to change in a way that we want to create something that we want to become something that we want to be. The question is how? How do we do that? So within the topic of productivity, I want to apply a little bit of the internal family systems model. For those of you who want a background of the internal family systems model, I do have a video on that basically sums up that in internal family systems we all have parts of our personality, and the IFS model is a way of helping to get to know the parts that we have, help those parts to get along and function like a well-oiled machine, and also helping to unburden some of the limiting beliefs and limiting patterns that some of these parts have or get into. So feel free to check out the video. I believe it's called IFS in 3 minutes. So how to apply IFS to a theory of productivity? Well, there are certain parts that are involved in productivity, certain parts that we all have and can relate to. I'll use the names that I use to describe them, although anyone might use different names for them. The name's not important. But I sum it up into 4 parts, and there's a process that we go through with those 4 parts to be the most productive that we can. So the first part that's involved in productivity is the part that is inspired. I call this part the visionary. It's a part of you that comes up with ideas and is excited when it comes up with all these ideas. If this part had a diagnosis to it, it would be ADHD. Would think of really cool stuff and then lose track of that cool stuff and then think of other cool stuff and then lose track of it and not do anything with it. So people with ADHD are typically have very strong visionary parts. So that's the first part that's involved in this process. The second part is what I call the planner. So that is a part that picks up where the visionary left off and says, and that's actually possible too. You know what? You could start by doing step 1, step 2, and then you can do this and this. So it's the part of you that takes an idea and starts breaking it down into practical steps and planning that idea out. The third part is also a very crucial part that gets a bad rap because it's called the critic. And we all have inner critics. We need inner critics. We need parts that will, for this instance, look at this idea and criticize it and poke holes in it, because we want to end up with an idea that works, not an idea that doesn't hold up in real life. So of course we have a part that's going to look at our plans or look at whatever's going on in our life and say, yeah, that doesn't work because of this. So ideally, you would start with the part of you that has ideas, the visionary, go to a part that has some plans or some ways of making that idea real. And then you run it by a part of you that is going to look at that idea and look at that plan and say, does this really work or not? Of course, if it doesn't work, we'd want the critic to send it back to either the visionary to see if it has some ideas with regard to those holes that we've poked in it, or to the planner. to see if it might redo that plan to something that can stand up to the critic. So you've got these three parts in the process, and next you have the fourth part. Let's say an idea gets planned, the critic looks at it and says, hey, this isn't so bad. Then you have the fourth part, which is the executor or the doer. That is the part in you that will take a hopefully well-formed plan and say, hey, let's do it. And we'll just start doing step 1, step 2, step 3. You notice that we often find ourselves in different modes. Like sometimes we are in a visionary mode and might get all of these ideas. And other times we might be in a doing mode where we feel really productive. So those are parts of our personality, those are parts of who we are, and each of us spends a different amount of time in each of those various parts with regard to productivity. What we want to do to be most productive is, one, we can purposefully use those parts in that sequence to be the most productive we can. If it goes out of sequence, then we've got problems. For example, procrastination. Procrastination can happen when the visionary comes up with an idea, and before we can even start to plan that idea, the critic comes in and says, oh, well, that'll never work. No, this will fail because of XYZ. And you don't even have a chance to plan it out. It just shoots the idea down right off the bat. Critic can also say stuff like, you're not good enough to do this, you don't deserve this, you'll never pull it off, like stuff like that. So that's when you have an overactive critic. So procrastination can happen in that sense. However, if we can convince the critic, hey, we need you, can you stay back a little bit so that we can plan this out? And then we're going to give you a really good stab at this to take a critical look and, hey, shoot it down if it doesn't work. You know, we need you to do that. We need you to kind of destroy our plans that do not work, so that we can go back and replan it. So I guess that's a little bit about that sequence of productivity and parts. So in conclusion, you have the visionary part, which will come up with an idea, and it'll have a good why. It'll be inspired. We hope that this part and its ideas will fit in with a greater meaning or plan that you have for your life. And we can talk about developing meaning in your life. That's important. You start with the visionary. Then there's a part of you that might take that idea and start to plan it out, put it into steps. Then there's a part of you that might look at that plan, those steps, and kind of proofread it and to say, hey, this doesn't work, or this should be over here, or, okay, why don't we start from the drawing board because this is not quite adding up. But good to have that critic, good to have a part that will scrutinize any plan that you come up with, because we want plans that work. And then part number 4 would be the executor, that will hopefully come in after the critic has kind of reviewed the plan to see if it works. And then you hopefully have a part that is excited about doing this plan, that sees that it works, that sees it's a good idea. So we do need all 4 of those parts. If you are weak in any of those 4, you can definitely request a video. I can definitely break down to you how to get to know each of those parts, how to develop each of those parts. And also, it's good we have other people in our lives for a reason. Like, I know someone who is a great visionary and just, skips these other 2 parts and goes straight to executing. Good for that person to have someone in their life who can say, oh, wait, hold up. Before you start executing this, let's plan it out and kind of look at that idea a little bit to see if it's going to go somewhere. And that would help that person to be more productive. So if you are strong in one area and weak in others, good to surround yourself with people who are strong in those other areas. That's good for you. It takes all types to survive in this world and to thrive and to have great ideas and to produce. So I think that's the conclusion of today. Hope you guys like it. If you do, then certainly feel free to like the video, share it with someone. Feel free to ask any questions, and I'll do my best to respond. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Take care.